The Butane protocol, a highly anticipated Cardano synthetics platform, has officially launched on the testnet. Now, this brings along brand new features, including the ability to create a CDP or a collateralized debt position utilizing multiple Cardano native assets as the underlying collateral. In addition, you can create more than one CDP as well as merge more than one CDP of the same type in a single transaction. Now, as a part of today's video, I'm going to be sitting down with Micah, their lead developer, as well as Jay, their co-lead developer, to number one, docs themselves, but then number two, talk about their Oracle structure, liquidations, and on top of that, their highly anticipated BTN or Butane Token governance sale. What's up, Ada Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. As a part of today's video, we're going to be sitting down with two of the lead developers for the Butane protocol, which is a synthetics protocol, which has just launched on the testnet here on Cardano. We're going to be jumping into everything that they have to offer right now and exactly what we can expect with respect to their mainnet launch, as well as their DAO and their highly anticipated BTN or governance token sale. Without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring up the founder first. He's going to be the lead developer. That's going to be Micah. Micah, welcome aboard. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm good. Yourself?
I am doing great. It's finally good to be able to put a face to a name. I had you on a couple months back as you guys were getting ready to make your debut on the Cardano ecosystem, and it's good to have you back here for a second round. So thank you for your time. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring up the co-developer. That's going to be Jay from the Butane team as well. Jay, welcome aboard. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us on.
Not a problem. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right on in. I mean, Butane has made waves here in the past couple of days. You guys have officially launched on the testnet. But before we jump into the testnet and the nitty gritty, do either one of you mind just kind of highlighting what Butane is? And then we're going to jump into CDPs and exactly how the Cardano community can benefit from that.
Sure. So Butane is a synthetics platform, which is a kind of fungible derivative that is designed to, while optimizing liquidity, also create these assets which track the price of other real world or virtual assets that we feed the price in through like a Oracle feed / stream. And the entire point of the system is to do this with as much optimality for liquidity as possible, and we're doing this by allowing CNTs to be used. So there's as many tokens can be minted as possible, and we're making everything as efficient as possible so that you can you never have these market slowdowns is the hope. So yeah.
Thank you for the quick summary there of Butane. For anybody who missed our first interview, I will go ahead and leave the link to that down below. I definitely recommend you guys go ahead and check that out. Micah and I literally walked through the entire light paper at the time, from the top all the way to the bottom, jumping into all the different aspects, including the types of CDPs, liquidations, their tokenomics, etc. So make sure to go ahead and check that out. I think this will be a segue to that. And so again, we're not going to rehash too much of the fundamentals of the Butane protocol. Now, I do want to pose a second question, and that's just going to be just surrounding CDPs in general, right? For somebody who's brand new to Cardano, who's brand new to synthetics, can you kind of explain some of the benefits or use cases of synthetics and why they're important to have here on Cardano and just the exposure that they give to Cardano members?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's pretty hard to access the types of assets which are on other chains. So if you want to access Bitcoin or Matic or even US dollars, having the price of that in a native token, that's been a difficult challenge to get done at the same time while making it very liquid. So there's a lot of solutions which don't always meet the same needs we think that we're going to be meeting, and the differences to other solutions such as bridges, etc. We don't have the same compromises. We have better. We think we have advantages over those solutions. So yeah.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much. So now that we've kind of got the foundation laid down, let's jump into some of the criticisms, and I want to just kind of get this out of the way right away. So Micah, as I mentioned, joined me about 2 to 3 months ago to highlight what Butane was bringing to the Cardano ecosystem. One of the biggest criticisms that I received was the fact that you were not actually doxed at the time. Obviously, I'm sitting here with you and Jay. That has now changed. What does this say for you? And what do you maybe just want to kind of let the community know when it comes to just being able to build trust around Butane and the team that's developing it?
Yeah, so we did sponsor a during research report where we did find that one of the biggest things that the community seems to care about is that even though they thought that we were a very technical team, like that we could accomplish this, they didn't trust that we weren't fully doxed. So we think that this is a step forward in demonstrating that to the community and gaining more trust that can be verified, that they can see who we are and know that we aren't just gonna, it's a lot harder for us to do anything which the community would be against. So it's more transparent, it's more trackable, more verifiable, and that's really what we're all about. So yeah, I'm very happy to make this step.
Yeah, I'm proud and I'm grateful that you guys have chosen to do that here on Dapp Central with myself again. I learned a lot during the first interview. I obviously I believed in what you guys were building at the time. And again, I think one thing that the community has a hard time with, as you mentioned, is teams that aren't doxed. We've seen teams that have been able to deliver, specifically with NFT projects, and I feel like that kind of tends to happen more in NFT projects where people aren't doxed and they tend to deliver. But for some reason, that didn't appear to be the case here. And I'm not sure if that was just due to the fact that there were a lot of other projects coming out around the same time or what. But I definitely think that this is a huge step in the right direction. And I think this is going to give you guys a huge bit of credibility moving forward. So again, thank you for taking the time to do that here on this channel. Now, let's jump into one other criticism, and then we're going to jump into the testnet and everything else moving forward surrounding Butane. So another criticism has just been the fact that, or at least that there's allegations that the Butane source code isn't necessarily 100% yours, and that you guys may have taken code from somebody else or forked code and built on top of that. For anybody who's not aware of what the actual situation is surrounding that, is there anything that you guys can say or that you can say in order to clarify that situation here?
Sure. That is absolutely not true at all. The smart contracts are 100% new code. There's nothing that we've taken from any other existing protocol. The features that you can see in our previous testnet, they're not seen anywhere else. We have many novel innovations that just there is nowhere to copy them from because no one else has it. So I really think it's a nonsense kind of attack. We have spoken with Eric from Indigo Protocol, and we've offered to show to a third party that it's not the same source code. We seem to be on the same page, that it is just these kind of malicious community members trying to invent an attack, and we don't really see any validity in the argument at all. So it's really, we'll have open source code before the mainnet launch. You'll be able to see for yourself. It's entirely new. We've worked really hard on this. On the open source side as well, I have been pushing a lot of projects to bring their source open to the community for it to be verified as part of an ethical argument to the space, because I think it is really important that you can read a contract that you agree to. And I think a lot of these communities, they have been very tribalistic and they've been very defensive about this concept. Maybe I was too aggressive on this concept, but I think a lot of this comes out to tribalism and trying to protect along this axis, because really there is no real criticism of Butane here. It's more just attacking personally what I have said. That's pretty much where it's coming from. So I don't really see it as a kind of valid criticism when we've made these commitments and we've got entirely new code.
I appreciate that. I think, again, the fact that number one, you guys are now doxing yourselves, putting your faces out there, and then number two, making the code open source, the community can actually jump in and double check themselves.
Yeah.
I myself, as a content creator, I face a lot of very similar backlash where I might talk about a particular project that people don't like or people may not hold, or that maybe have branched out to go outside of Cardano. And I tend to get a lot of heat in my direction for just doing my job. So I can definitely kind of understand where you guys are at in the position that you guys are in. Again, just continue to build, continue to put it out there. And ultimately, if it's open source, people can say what they want, but the code is there for them to double check themselves. So I think that's the kind of like the ultimate trump card there is the fact that it's open sourced. If it's copied and pasted from somewhere, the community should be able to then trace it back to wherever that original source was and tie that back over to yours. So I do appreciate you answering some of those tough questions there. Not typically how I open up my interviews, but I definitely want to give the community some clarity. And now that we've kind of got that past us, let's jump into Butane. So the official testnet launched about a week ago. As I mentioned at the very beginning here, that's created a ton of waves here, a lot of noise in the ecosystem. I have to give you guys kudos here before we go any further. I've been playing around on the testnet, and boy, oh boy, when I say that this is a new a breath of fresh air into the Cardano community, that is an understatement. Just to highlight a few of the things that I've noticed, with respect to your platform, not only are you able to create a CDP, you're now able to utilize multiple Cardano native assets in order to create a single CDP. You have the ability to create more than one CDP in a transaction. You have the ability to merge multiple CDPs. You have the ability to mint CDPs and then put them or sell them immediately on DEXs. Just a lot of different features that we haven't seen on any other platform. So I want to kind of pose this question to the both of you here. What's been the feedback like? And then we're going to jump into what's coming next in terms of features and upgrades for the testnet.
Sure. So the feedback has been great. We really think that what we're doing is we're bringing the original promise of Cardano around composability and interoperability. We're kind of bringing it actually to users. So I don't think anyone has actually put these compositional elements into the user interface or made them super apparent. So I think that's really positive. And we're seeing proposals from the community, from other developers to bring this into more projects, to have this maybe directly integrated into the wallet, which would be really nice. And so I think that's been a really nice way that the community has responded to our testnet. I'll let Jay talk about a new feature that we've been working on, and we have teased this feature, but it's just another demonstration of how things can compose.
Yeah, I just want to say as well, I think one thing I was personally quite happy about was given that the way you kind of construct actions on the Butane app, it's a very kind of new way that you don't see really any other Dapp on Cardano doing. And so I think what we might have had a bit of worries about is as to whether the community could adapt and adopt it like pretty quickly. But it seems like people have really taken to that kind of action building interface really nicely, and are doing some really crazy transactions leveraging multiple CDPs at once, repaying and creating in the same transaction, and so on. And yeah, as to what Micah is referring to, I think you touched on this in when you posed the question, how we demonstrated the ability to, in the same transaction that you, for example, create a CDP and mint some synthetics, you can also place an order on SundaySwap, which gives you the ability to immediately sell the synthetic as soon as it's created. And another benefit of all of these things being in the same transaction is that it makes all of those operations atomic. So if one of those actions fails, the entire transaction fails. You're not left with like a half-finished strategy or something like that. But yeah, I think this does kind of open the door to a lot of future integrations with other apps that I think could really kind of create a new good standard for how Cardano can interrupt and be compatible with apps on its platform.
That is really interesting to hear. Again, these are features that the community hasn't had on any other synthetics protocol. And I want to give you guys your flowers. You guys definitely deserve it. That was an interesting feature that you there mentioned as well, Jay. And I think Micah kind of touched on that, integrations moving forward, being able to potentially integrate into wallets, being able to collaborate with other DEXs. We've seen Dex Hunter take a very similar route, and they're, I think, doing amazing because they've been able to leverage the community, and they've been able to kind of fix an issue that a lot of people have had, which is the ability to quickly give their own communities access to their token, right? So it sounds like you guys are on A really nice start here. Let's maybe just kind of keep the conversation moving. One of the things that I noticed with the Butane protocol is on the parameters page, you guys have the prices of the assets there. Do you guys mind talking a little bit about the Oracle setup, who you guys are utilizing, how the Oracle or how the pricing data is working? And then I want to talk about the liquidations and how those are potentially atomic as well.
So the Oracle feeds, in general on Cardano, Oracle feeds have been a fairly annoying problem to tackle, and we're going with the same compromise that we see from Liquid, Lenfi, Indigo, all of these big dApps. And at the moment on mainnet, we're going to have a multi-sig of 5 of 9 feeds, feed signers, just because we don't think that the Oracle ecosystem has evolved enough to support everything that we want to do. And what we can say is that we're very happy to, as soon as it is possible, we're planning to upgrade this to whatever Oracle is best and can support this. But for now, it's got to be this way just because it's the only way that works. So
I appreciate that. My next question is surrounding atomic liquidations. So maybe this goes back to Jay. He highlighted the fact that some of these CDP creation actions are atomic in the sense that if one piece fails, the entire thing fails, right? To where you're not left with a half-baked transaction. Jay, I've been playing around on the testnet. I haven't been able to get liquidated yet because there hasn't been any crazier, huge price swings in some of my CDP positions. But do you mind kind of highlighting how the liquidations will work here and exactly what the community can expect with those?
Yeah, sure. So liquidations are pretty much as simple to execute as it is to repay and adjust your own CDP, right? So you'll see, like if you go to the global positions page, which shows all of the CDPs on the platforms, which are opened by anybody. If any of those CDPs are unhealthy, which means their health factor is less than 1, it means you can liquidate that CDP. And so if that were available, you'd simply just press that button and it would give you the prompt to just complete the transaction right there. So what's actually happening there, and the reason we call them atomic liquidations, is because in order to facilitate that liquidation, it's not using any kind of like pool mechanism that you might see on some other protocols. It's directly peer-to-peer. And so that lets you do, it interfaces nicely with the action composition engine that we talked about earlier. So for example, you can liquidate multiple CDPs in the same transaction, or a common strategy that I think we outlined specifically in the documentation is something called like a CDP takeover liquidation, which is when you create a CDP at the same time that you liquidate another one. And so what that means is that you can pretty much liquidate a CDP without needing to have any synthetic tokens because you're minting a CDP at the same time, which I think is like a crazy feature that I don't think we see anywhere else on Cardano right now. But yeah, it's a very powerful system that pretty much makes liquidations as simple as any other action on the platform.
Thank you for that. And as a quick follow-up, let's say I'm a community member. I don't necessarily want to open up my own CDPs, but I want to go ahead and provide value to Butane, right, by liquidating other positions. Can you kind of explain what's in it for me, or what are the benefits to somebody who's actually performing the liquidation?
So when you liquidate a position, there is a buffer when the position is still over collateralized, where you're able to access that excess by fulfilling the debt obligations of the CDP, and you're able to collect a fee on that excess, which means in many scenarios you are able to make profit via arbitrage by liquidating the CDP and selling that collateral onto the market. And that's our mechanism, which is meant to drive the value from the AMMs, which have the synthetics, and drive value into that from the CNT collateral. And that's how we kind of maintain the downwards peg.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's keep the conversation moving along. So now that we've got the platform live on the testnet, how long can we expect for it to be live on the testnet before we begin to see you guys planning and pushing for the mainnet? Should we be expecting additional features, additional upgrades? I know that Jay mentioned a few earlier.
There's definitely going to be more upgrades, and we are working on getting the audit underway and complete as soon as possible. There's quite a few things that we want to complete, but we think that we can work fast. So
I appreciate that. I'm not sure if you intentionally didn't list a date, but I completely understand, especially in crypto. People love dates, but as a developer, um, it can be very difficult to commit to that because, again, I understand that development is just a fluid act of its own. Okay, so let's jump into the very next thing I want to talk a little bit more about, which is the DAO. I've taken a look at your guys' roadmap and just at what you guys are bringing to Cardano, and there's a big section surrounding governance. Do you guys mind touching on exactly how that's going to work? And then we're going to talk about the actual Butane token following that.
Mm. So we've been working on exactly how to make voting work efficiently on chain, because I think that's a fairly important problem, that we make sure that there's no flaws, there's no possibility of censorship, that anyone can get a proposal through. So we've been trying to tackle that there, and our plans are that the token itself is what gives the community the ability to directly control and update and govern the protocol. So everything is going to be through the BTN token. We're working out exactly how. We have some preliminary voting mechanisms that we're working on, but it's very much not finalized. So we're still deciding how to run that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that'll lead us into the next topic, which is the BTN token sale. So when I had you back on a couple of months back, you guys were anticipating to actually have a sale. I believe it was in collaboration with Anastasia Labs.
Mm,
Due to some of the community's feedback, you guys decided to kind of postpone that.
mm.
Since then, I'm sure a lot has changed. Again, you guys are now live on the testnet. Can you explain to us what the expectations are now moving forward for when we can actually see the Butane token hit indexes and just the entire Cardano community?
So we plan to run a public event. Currently, we have a forum post live on our forum called Tokenomics, where we're discussing everything that the community thinks that we should change or that we think could be improved for the launch. At the moment, we are planning to increase the amount that goes towards the public, and we are also increasing some of the vesting periods for us and for the private investors, just to make sure that it's a bit more fair and kind of more community centered. So these are the old tokenomics on screen at the moment, and at the moment we're in a revisory period, and we're also considering different mechanisms to run the launch with. I think also as well, the launches recently have very much encouraged the route that we want to take.
I appreciate that. I want to maybe jump into more of a general topic, which is going to be 2024. So we're now in a brand new year. Butane is now live on the test net.
Mm.
What is your guys' vision in terms of just planning and strategic movement in this year?
Mm. Well, we want to get the mainnet product out as soon as possible. We want to have the token off to the community. We want to have really control handed over. And I think once we have those two missions complete, our focus is going to be on making the Oracle system more decentralized and more sound. So the the top priority once like the main product is out is just to kind of eliminate some of these compromises and to make the Oracle system more decentralized. So we do have a very thought out plan for that, but we're not ready to elaborate more on exactly how we plan to solve oracles.
Fair enough. The next thing I wanted to ask was just about interoperability. So you guys are obviously a Cardano native project right now. Do you guys maybe foresee yourself in the year, maybe 2 years, taking the butane solution and kind of expanding into other ecosystems?
Uh at the moment, it really is designed for Cardano. I don't see how it would bridge out. I would say it could be adapted if there were like forks of Cardano, or if there's anything else which takes the Plutus runtime. But at the moment, we don't have any such plans. So we don't think that it's going to be like a cross-chain sort of thing. It's really a focused platform.
I appreciate that very much. At this time, I mean, I've gone through all of the questions that I've had here for today's agenda. So maybe we kind of take turns jumping between you, Micah, and Jay to get closing thoughts or just maybe highlights of anything that I may have missed that you guys want to raise to the community here about butane.
So I think it's important to address redemptions, because this is a feature that the community is wanting from us, and they want to know that we're considering the possibility of DPEG and how we want to handle that. So I'm going to let Jay take it from here, but the general outline is how redemptions have this positive effect whenever there's a negative DPEG, how it like pushes that towards the market value.
Yeah, so I guess the idea behind redemptions is that there's always kind of a way that the value of a synthetic can be redeemed for its mark price, which is determined by the Oracle price feeds. So the idea is that can help be a kind of maintainer of like the supply and demand of the synthetic, which by burning the supply in the case of a DPEG, which people would want to do that because it means they can buy the synthetic off like a tertiary market, like a DEX, for, say, for example, USDB. If its market price was 90 cents, but its mark price was obviously $1, people could buy it at 90 cents off of a DEX and then redeem it for $1, thus making money on the arbitrage there. And so that would reduce the supply, increase buy pressure, and then help retain the peg stability.
I think the main takeaway is that the value inside the collateral positions, it can be these CDPs can be closed early on behalf of the user in order to always access that value to correct any markets and allow for arbitrage to more efficiently correct these events. So it's designed to be a very stable and accurate system.
Thank you both for that last piece there. I mentioned this before, to be fully transparent, a lot of that is very hard to conceptualize. I'm a visual learner, and I always recommend for the projects that are coming here to provide as much content to simplify and visualize all these different processes. Now, to also be fair, taking a look at the actual Butane light paper, for anybody who hasn't gotten a chance to take a look at it, I recommend you go ahead and check it out. It's available on their website. There are a lot of diagrams, not just for the tokenomics, but for the atomic liquidations, how to open CDPs, how to repay, all that extra stuff. So again, I think it's just a matter of me jumping in there again and just familiarizing myself with the entire repayment structure. But I do appreciate the both of you guys taking the time and the opportunity to answer those questions. So at this time, is there anything else that you guys want to highlight before we go ahead and kind of close the show down?
Oh, we are working on an updated Yellowpaper. We should probably mention that it's going to come out probably next month. I'd say sometime in February, and that has very in so much more detail. That has everything that we're thinking about and everything that we're considering. So really, that's going to be like the technical documentation. Once that is in place, we're able to create derivative content of it, which explains in more simple detail how this all works. So I think that would be a massive boon.
Yeah, I will be very happy to get my hands on that, and not just for myself, but to also break that content down here for the viewers who are watching this video. Again, I know that what you guys are doing is extremely novel. You guys are kind of doing some groundbreaking stuff here, but I always reiterate the fact that it's important for people to understand how to utilize these brand new tools, right? With more tools, with more options comes more responsibility on the Cardano users side, right? So again, this is an amazing interview. I want to thank the both of you guys for jumping on here, addressing some of the critiques, and then also giving us an idea as to what we can expect moving forward with Butane. For the viewers watching at home, if you guys have not gotten a chance to check out this platform on the testnet, please make sure to go ahead and check it out. It's available right now at preview.butane.dev. I've been playing around with it for the past couple of days. Extremely simple, very intuitive. And as I mentioned earlier, you have a lot of features that we have yet to see on any other synthetic protocol. So I've got no doubts that you guys are going to be doing extremely well, especially with the upcoming launch of the Butane token and the anticipation of the Mainnet launch. That will do it here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Micah and Jay joining us from the official Butane team. Again, officially doxing themselves and answering some of those hard questions you guys have asked here as a part of the Dapp Central community. So on that note, if you guys did enjoy today's interview, I would appreciate you guys if you guys could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by Dapp Central and you want more content like this surrounding all the builders here on Cardano, please consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions for Jay or Micah, then please make sure to go ahead and leave them down below. That said, and as always, we'll see you guys in the next video.